My hands were still shaking as I sat in my car, staring at the coffee shop window behind me. For years of silence had just ended in a single conversation, and it felt like I had finally exhaled after holding my breath for too long. I had just faced the people who were supposed to love me the most, and for the first time in my life, I didn't walk away feeling small. I walked away free. My name is Tara, and a few weeks ago, I received an email that dragged me back into a past I had worked hard to escape. The subject line simply said we need to talk, and even reading those words made my chest tighten. I didn't open it right away. I let it sit there for 2 days, staring at me every time I checked my inbox, until curiosity and dread finally pushed me to click it open. The message was exactly what I expected and somehow worse. My mother wrote that my older brother Ryan was struggling. His marriage had fallen apart after an affair. He had lost his high-paying job, and everything in his life was collapsing. My father had recently undergone a heart procedure, and she claimed she was exhausted trying to manage it all. Then came the real reason for the email. They needed me to come back and fix everything, just like I always had. Reading those words pulled me straight into memories I had tried to bury. It took me back to a time when my life looked completely different, when I still believed my family would be there for me the way I had always been there for them. Back then, I was married to my husband Jake, and we were building a quiet, happy life together in a small apartment. Jake was a police officer, the kind of man who never hesitated to help others, even if it meant putting himself in danger. I was working as a nurse, juggling long shifts and student loan payments, but none of that mattered because we were about to become parents. We had painted a small room a soft yellow, imagining it as our baby's nursery. Jake spent an entire weekend putting together a second-hand crib, laughing when he struggled with the instructions. He would rest his hand on my stomach and tell me I was going to be an incredible mother, and I believed him because he always made me feel strong. Then one cold, rainy night, everything fell apart. Jake left for his shift like he always did, kissing me goodbye and promising he would be back before I woke up. A few hours later, my phone rang, and the moment I heard the voice on the other end, I knew something was wrong. It was his captain, and his tone was heavy as he told me Jake had been hit by a drunk driver on his way to a call. I don't remember the drive to the hospital. I only remember being led into a quiet room and seeing Jake lying there, completely still. His hand was cold when I touched it, and the reality of losing him hit me all at once. I wanted to say something, anything, but the words wouldn't come. Before I could even process my grief, a sharp pain tore through my body, and I realized I was going into labor 6 weeks early. Everything became a blur after that. Nurses rushed me to the delivery unit, voices overlapping as contractions took over my body. In the middle of it all, I called my parents, desperate for comfort. When my mother finally answered, I told her everything in one breath. Jake was gone, and I was in labor, and I needed her. There was a pause, and then I heard airport announcements in the background. Her response was calm, almost detached. She told me they were at the airport with Ryan, celebrating a major promotion, and they were about to leave for a long-planned trip. She said they couldn't cancel it. In that moment, something inside me went completely quiet. I didn't argue or beg. I just understood exactly where I stood in their priorities. A nurse named Linda noticed the shift in me and stayed by my side through everything. She held my hand when the pain became unbearable and spoke to me with a kindness I had never experienced from my own family. I gave birth to my son Ethan without anyone from my family there. He was tiny and fragile, and he had to spend 11 days in the NICU while I sat beside him, praying he would be okay. During those 11 days, my family didn't call once. The only message I received was a short text from my mother saying she hoped I was doing okay and that their trip was beautiful. I took a screenshot of that message, not fully understanding why at the time, but something in me knew I would never forget it. When Jake's funeral came, his colleagues filled the church in uniform, honoring his life, but my own family didn't show up. After that, I stopped answering their calls. I focused on raising Ethan and rebuilding my life piece by piece. The insurance money helped me pay off debts and move into a small home, but it was the people around me who truly saved me. My elderly neighbor became like a grandmother to Ethan, always bringing food and offering help. Jake's captain checked in regularly, treating my son like family. And Linda never disappeared from my life after that night. Therapy helped me understand something I had never questioned before. I had spent my entire life taking care of my family, sacrificing my own needs to support them. When my mother was injured years earlier, I had put my life on hold to care for her, missing opportunities and putting my future aside. I had always been the one they relied on, but when I needed them the most, they chose something else. For years later, I finally sat across from them in that coffee shop. My mother looked polished, my father seemed worn down, and Ryan looked like life had caught up to him. They spoke as if they didn't understand why I had disappeared, as if my silence had been the problem. I listened quietly, then reached into my bag and pulled out the proof I had carried with me all these years. I showed them messages from the past, reminders of everything I had given up for them. Then I showed them the message she sent me while I was in labor, while my husband lay dead in a hospital. I told them exactly what they had done, not with anger but with clarity. When my father tried to brush it off as something that happened long ago, I stopped him and told him that pain like that does not fade just because time passes. Ryan apologized, and I could see the regret in his face, but it didn't change anything. My mother cried, but I didn't feel the urge to comfort her like I used to. For once, I chose myself. I told them I had nothing left to give people who only remembered me when they needed something, and then I stood up and walked away without looking back. 2 weeks later, a letter arrived from my mother, filled with explanations but no real accountability. I folded it and put it away, knowing I didn't need her words anymore. That Christmas, Ethan and I celebrated with the people who had truly been there for us. Our home was full of laughter, warmth, and stories about Jake, and for the first time, it felt complete. When Ethan asked why we didn't see my parents, I told him something I had only recently learned myself. Some people are connected to you by blood, but real family is made up of the people who choose to stand by you when it matters. He smiled and said he liked our family, and as I held him close, I realized I finally did too.